topic today for me has been engaging fathers and grandfathers. When a family receives the news that their child has been diagnosed with special needs, male and females have a different reaction quite often. Females have the day-to-day contact with their child all day, as we would know. They're worrying about just how coping and caring for that child, or a dad immediately starts thinking about, how am I going to educate that child? How are we going to pay for all this? And what is the future for us? Working with the facilitators, I've looked at how can we engage the dads.
Dads won't talk when they're face to face, but if they're fishing and they're looking out to sea, as they're casting someone's eyes, anyone's kid had this surgery done, or what do you think of Botox, or what do you, and looking out there they talk, but looking this way they won't.
That's so right. The people that came to my 3 sessions so far were very generous in letting me know what worked for them. So, and that was my plan too, to initiate discussion on how can we do things, how can we work together, how can we do things better, and what worked and what didn't work.
The teleconferencing model, which I'm very keen to explore a lot further with MyTime now we've successfully piloted it, lends itself to grouping together people who've got a shared issue, because we can bring them from any geography. So for instance, we could group together people who, whose child has a particular syndrome, for instance, where in any one geographic location that mightn't be feasible at all. All we had to do, you know, was arrange the technology, and these people just had to answer their phone. They didn't even have to dial in. We find that people who are naturally shy or reticent, participating over the phone from the comfort of their own home will tend to open up pretty quickly. And it's a pretty cost-effective model.
In some of my groups, a lot of the children are speech and language delay. And it's amazing because some people will say, oh, you know, I feel really bad coming because my child's not as disabled as somebody else's, or I feel guilty using these services. And I say to them, you know, when your baby's born, you assume everything's going to be fine, and whether your child has a missing finger, a missing limb, or a missing brain, it is devastation, because that's your baby, that's your child, you know. Don't ever feel guilty because your child's not quite as disabled as anybody else's. One of the other things that we've done is our parents love to do craft, and we have a mother who is exceptionally good at card making. And she was very quiet, and I spoke to her and said, look, would you like to do some card making with us, just with us? I try to be as accessible as possible for the parents, and it doesn't have to be always, you know, on the phone. It can be texting, emails are great, Facebook is brilliant. I have a separate Facebook account for my MyTime families, and so they can access me on that. We all share and things like that. The younger people like computers and stuff. I love it. I've learned how very different each group is, how many varied groups there are. You know, not just young mothers with children, but, you know, groups for parents that have an intellectual disability that are raising children. That to me is amazing. I hadn't even given that a second thought. And the Indigenous groups, the women are so strong. The women that run those groups, they're so strong. They amaze me. But yeah, I've just really enjoyed seeing all the different groups and different people, how it's all varied, because you get so sheltered in your own little world, you know, and you don't have a lot of contact with the outside, you know, the other facilitators. So no, it's been great.
I don't know what anybody else is doing in any area of Australia outside of my own little MyTime world.
And I think the other benefit that we've got with it as well is that the children, we also encourage inclusion with the mainstream playgroup. So they take them one-on-one into the mainstream, but we can also, you know, remove them if they're not coping.
Overall, out of the day, I've met some fantastic people. I've heard different stories of the way people have things set up for themselves, that they run the groups. It just gave me a different view instead of my own view of what might happen within a group situation.
No, I'll go and make them a cup of tea and go and have a quick chat with somebody, or go out and see how the kids are going. Because I don't want them to see that I'm the person, I want them to have that chance.
I've really loved meeting those other people and hearing those ideas, but it's re-energising, I think. It's those little light bulbs that go on and that you think, oh yes, I could do that. I must see if they'd like to organise a grandparents' session as part of theirs, and so that we can support them through their extended family and support the extended family through it. So it's been great to refocus and get all those wonderful ideas.
I'm going to pose a series of questions, one at a time, not in a group. It's not like trivia. And I'd like at least a couple people to be brave enough to sort of stand up, introduce yourselves, and maybe just give us a few reflections on today.
Even though we had sessions, from Anne about working with dads and grandparents, and we've had sessions about working with Indigenous families, we're still primarily working with mothers, and I think, I'd love to see the next 4 years really working hard to bring the rest of the family that works with those children, or lives with those children, into this program.
Out of today's sessions, I know there's been leads towards some of the ways to look after ourselves and what learnings we need and what education we need. Well, that's all fantastic, but if we consolidate as a group and look at those common things, and try and consolidate simple things that will be time management, so we can actually help ourselves, so therefore we can actually operate more effectively and in a fun and creative way, which I know these groups are. It's not all hard stuff, it's actually good stuff that we deliver.
I have to say I've been excited by the whole day. I think all of the discussions were just brilliant, and there's so many really exciting groups going on. You ladies have inspired me so much from Perth that when I get back to Cairns, I'm going to start really pushing our Indigenous group to get rolling there. You've answered my big question, which was, can an old white chick go in and do this? And she can't, which is what I suspected, but I needed that confirmed. The teleconferencing, what a brilliant idea. To me, it's not just a wonderful idea for those people that are living remotely, but I remember vividly when my child with a disability was very little, I didn't have even 10 minutes to consider doing something for me. But if somebody had rung my phone at 8 o'clock at night, what a huge impact that would have had on my life then. That's when I could have done it, and that's when I wanted to do it.
At any forum, it's always the people you meet, the sharing of ideas. So if you go home excited about what you can do for the future, it's worthwhile. And I'm excited about what I've learned today.